Brought to you by Penguin.
The Songlines by Bruce Chatwin, read by Hugh Fraser. 1. In Alice Springs, a grid of scorching streets where men in long white socks were forever getting in and out of land cruisers, I met a Russian who was mapping the sacred sites of the Aboriginals. His name was Arkady Volchok. He was an Australian citizen. He was 33 years old. His father, Ivan Volchok, was a Cossack from a village near Rostov-on-Don, who in 1942 was arrested and sent with a trainload of other Ostarbeiter to work in a German factory. One night, somewhere in the Ukraine, he jumped from the cattle car into a field of sunflowers. Soldiers in grey uniforms hunted him up and down the long lines of sunflowers, but he gave them the slip. Somewhere else, lost between murdering armies, he met a girl from Kiev and married her. Together, they drifted to a forgetful Adelaide suburb, where he rigged up a vodka still and fathered 3 sturdy sons. The youngest of these was Arkady. Nothing in Arkady's temperament predisposed him to live in the hugger-mugger of Anglo-Saxon suburbia or take a conventional job. He had a flattish face and a gentle smile, and he moved through the bright Australian spaces with the ease of his footloose forebears. His hair was thick and straight, the colour of straw. His lips had cracked in the heat. He did not have the drawn-in lips of so many white Australians in the outback, nor did he swallow his words. Only when you came up close did you realise how big his bones were. He had married, he told me, and had a daughter of 6. Yet, preferring solitude to domestic chaos, he no longer lived with his wife. He had few possessions, apart from a harpsichord and a shelf of books. He was a tireless bushwalker. He thought nothing of setting out with a water flask and a few bites of food for a 100-mile walk along the ranges. Then he would come home, out of the heat and light, and draw the curtains, and play the music of Buxtehude and Bach on the harpsichord. Their orderly progressions, he said, conformed to the contours of the Central Australian landscape. Neither of Arkady's parents had ever read a book in English. He delighted them by winning a first-class honours degree in history and philosophy at Adelaide University. He made them sad when he went to work as a schoolteacher on an Aboriginal settlement in Walberry country to the north of Alice Springs. He liked the Aboriginals. He liked their grit and tenacity and their artful ways of dealing with the white man. He had learnt, or half-learnt, a couple of their languages, and had come away astonished by their intellectual vigour, their feats of memory, and their capacity and will to survive. They were not, he insisted, a dying race, although they did need help, now and then, to get the government and mining companies off their backs. It was during his time as a schoolteacher that Arkady learned of the labyrinth of invisible pathways which meander all over Australia and are known to Europeans as dreaming tracks or songlines, to the Aboriginals as the footprints of the ancestors or the way of the law. Aboriginal creation myths tell of the legendary totemic beings who had wandered over the continent in the dream time, singing out the name of everything that crossed their path, birds, animals, plants, rocks, waterholes, and so singing the world into existence. Arkady was so struck by the beauty of this concept that he began to take notes of everything he saw or heard, not for publication, but to satisfy his own curiosity. At first, the Walberry elders mistrusted him, and their answers to his questions were evasive. With time, once he had won their confidence, they invited him to witness their most secret ceremonies and encouraged him to learn their songs. One year, an anthropologist from Canberra came to study Walberry's systems of land tenure. An envious academic who resented Arkady's friendship with the songmen pumped him for information and promptly betrayed a secret he had promised to keep. Disgusted by the row that followed, the Russian threw in his job and went abroad. He saw the Buddhist temples of Java, sat with sadhus on the ghats of Benares, smoked hashish in Kabul, and worked on a kibbutz. On the Acropolis in Athens there was a dusting of snow, and only one other tourist, a Greek girl from Sydney. They travelled through Italy.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?